Hello, hello, and welcome to TJ Speaks. I am your host, TJ, and tonight's show we will be discussing what's going on with this illegal immigration. Okay, but before we get into today's topic, I want to take a moment to show my support for President Trump during this terrible time that they are continuously harassing the man. They want to bring a case about something involving property values, which is actually ridiculous because the entire New York State property is overvalued. The property that we have in New York City and in New York State is not worth what it if it was based on raw materials. None of the property in New York City is properly valued. All of the property in New York City is overvalued based on the demand for that property and the location and what people are willing to pay for that property. So I think this so called fraud case is really reaching. I think it's really desperate of that desperate Attorney General Letitia James. She is a fame seeker. She is a spotlight hogger. This woman is disingenuous. She's not interested in improving the lives of New Yorkers. She's only interested in Donald Trump, President Trump. And it's absurd and it's ridiculous and she's an embarrassment. So I wanted to touch on that as far as property values go. The whole entire New York City is overvalued. If okay, you people know, I know, we all know. Okay? So you don't get much for New York. $1 million to purchase a closet. So there you have it. Okay, so back to the topic at hand. We're going to be discussing what's really going on. What's the motive behind Joe Biden's sudden love for these so called undocumented people? And for those of you that listen to the show, know that Joe Biden is a stone cold racist. Joe Biden never intended for blacks and white American citizens to be, in the same vicinity of one another. He's pro segregation. The people that supported him were pro segregationists. That's how he got his job in the Senate to begin with. He was sent to upheld segregation. Segregation, obviously failed, but Joe Biden is still going to continue his agenda. Um, and it's becoming more and more clear to a lot of people out there now that this whole agenda with this illegal migrant stuff is just based on trying to keep a voting class and also trying to keep a particular race in the country. And we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be discussing the hidden racism in plain sight, the white Hispanics preferred treatment. We're going to start right there, guys. Something very nefarious is going on. It's in our face, actually, but it's whether or not you choose to recognize it. They like to play games with words in the media. They like to call everyone people of color. They like to say affirmative action. For example, I'll give you an example. Affirmative action, they like to claim, oh, it's only for black people. But in reality, when you look at the law, the way it was written, white women were the number one beneficiaries of affirmative action. White women. Also, other ethnicities. Asian was included. They made up a group called Hispanic. Hispanic is just a language. That's not an actual race. And the people that's in that community, you know, understand that. And a person like myself travel the world. I understand that. So, I listen to people. I respect people. They identify themselves. I respect that. So they put down their advocacy group, the Latino advocacy group, insisted on listing in the census white Hispanic and black Hispanic. And they made this distinction during President Obama's term. Okay? They were doing their advocacy, with much due respect, okay. But before that time, all the Latin people, Latino people, were put in the same category. It was the white Hispanics that insisted on being identified as white. And so, I believe it was the 2010 census that Obama was in charge of, he put in the distinction white Hispanic, black Hispanic. So, boom. And that's when I realized, oh, wow, there's a difference because I never really paid attention. So then I went up traveling and I had a trip down to Mexico, which I thoroughly enjoyed. It was a wonderful trip. And what I realized, which was very shocking to me, is that in America, we only see one type of Mexican. We usually see a light-skinned, fair person with straight hair. But when I went to Mexico, Puerto Vallarta, I saw a lot of black people that looked like me, but they were Mexican. I saw a lot of black Mexicans, and it was to my shock because I never seen a Afro Latino like that before. Like, not from the Dominican Republic. I never knew they had black Mexicans. Point blank simple. That's my truth. I never knew there was no such thing as black Mexicans, and it turns out that majority of the population was black. The people that were working in Mexico, they were black, majority. It depends on your job. Supervisors gonna be white. You know how that goes. So a lot of the hotel resort staff gonna be white. But when you go out into the neighborhoods and you go out into the streets, and I rode the bus, the people were black. I blended right in. I blend right in Mexico. I blend right on in. I felt actually at home, and that was a part of my enjoyment of the trip because I I was shocked and my eyes were open at that point. I became what you some might say woke at that point. And that's when I realized America is what's happening in America America is filtering the people that's allowed to illegally immigrate here by race. Only certain groups of people, most likely fair-skinned people and people that identify as white, is allowed to illegally immigrate in America. Now, they can't do this type of overt racism with legal immigration because legal immigration is more random. It's a wider net of people. You can't pick and choose who you decide what race is better than the other race. Everyone has a fair shot. Everyone from around the world put in their application, and everyone is equally considered. But with illegal immigration, you're able to manipulate the circumstances. Now you have the cartels that's obviously going to be more favored, have more favored, approach, which cartels should not be in charge of our border. But once again, Biden is a no good president. He's just simply no good. Um, so he surrendered our American borders, which is treason, to the Mexican cartels or the drug cartels that's down the south of the border. They're going to have their own biases. They're not going to uphold racial equality and anti-discrimination. They're not doing that. They're doing blatant open racism. They're charging people based on their ethnicity, based on their race. So these are the people that's being allowed to come here in mass migration right now. This is this is so terrible on so many levels. What's going on with this illegal immigration? Not just simply breaking the law, it's the random and rampant racism behind illegal immigration that no one wants to talk about. But you're going to hear this conversation right here on TJ Speaks because I see what's going on. The black immigrants that come here illegally are turned away and put on an airplane immediately back to wherever they come from, most likely Haiti or Africa. They're immediately sent on an airplane. The mostly white Hispanic people that come through the border are allowed to come in and file fake, phony asylum claims with no evidence and collect welfare on top of that. So if this person is found to have submitted a fraudulent claim, they have already collected 10 years of welfare, which is equivalent to almost $1 million with a phony claim. But America does not care about where the tax dollars are spent, because as long as they don't have to pay reparations to the black descendant of slaves, they fine. Americans seem to have no problem wasting $1 million on a fraudulent asylum claim. But if you ask the same American people, well, America benefited from 240 years of free labor, and you forced the descendants of slaves to, the slaves to work in this country for 240 years. Shouldn't you pay reparations? Everyone get all up in arms. But the white Hispanics are able to break into the country, break the law, get rewarded with cash money benefits, and live their life happily ever after. All right. On top of that, assume constitutional rights. See, that's another aspect of this. In what world do a person get to break into a nation and assume birthright citizenship for their children? Like, you didn't go through no process, you didn't follow. Matter of fact, you broke the law, but you want to pass down another country's citizenship to your child. And what makes you feel that you deserve this right? Oh, I see. You looked at the color of your skin and you assume that, of course, you deserve privilege. And that's everything that's being perpetuated right now. It's just a bunch of white privilege. And we're looking at it in plain sight and clear day. So there is a reason that the Biden administration do not want to follow the law, the rule of law when it regards to immigration. Because you cannot be racist. If you was to actually follow the law, you cannot be racist. So following immigration law protects America from racism. It vets the people that come here, because we don't want crazy people, people that want to be a terrorist. We don't want those people here. But he's not interested in that. He's only interested in the race of particular people. That's why he's Nostradamus in predicting that a particular ethnic group is going to be majority, and he does not regard the fact whether they are legal or not. He makes no distinction. He just says the majority. He does not distinctly say anything in regards to being of legal status or not, legal citizenship or not. So this is an evil, destructive plot. And this will destroy America. This will destroy it, because you're getting a bunch of people that don't respect our way of life, don't respect our ideals. They're not along. They're not going along with this anti-racism, agenda that we in America have adopted. We are trying to be a better nation. We want an equal, fair nation. And a lot of people that come here don't subscribe to that. They practice racism where they come from. They hang black people where they come from. This is a regular thing. They see nothing wrong with discrimination. And what's happening now, America is not vetting these people. They're allowing them to break the law based on the color of their skin, because they're looking for a particular racial group that Joe Biden feels is more acceptable to be American. What Joe Biden is doing is the most horrible thing, most unconscionable thing that any president could do to a nation. Is totally anti the Constitution. The politicians decide they don't like the American populace. They don't like the people that came to America. They don't like who we are and what we look like. So they decided, I'm going to tilt the scales, and I prefer another race of people, another country, another nation of people, and I'd rather not deal with you. And that's really horrible. This is so unconstitutional, it's not even funny. And I'm not a constitutional scholar, but I know this is against the law, what Biden is doing. Um, Immigrating, mass immigration, a preferred race of people. into a country because you don't like the American citizens. You don't want to deal with them. You don't want to respect citizenship because the citizenship belongs to a race of people that you don't agree with. So this attack on citizenship, it has a lot of hidden racism roots. The roots of this attack on citizenship is based on racism. So it's critical for America and America's future to follow the immigration law, stand by the Constitution, stick with the rule of law. That is the only way we can ensure a fair, just, equal immigration system. We don't particularly care about the race of an individual. We care about the quality of their character. So this trying to pick one ethnic race as the winner and decide the other ethnic race is a loser, and you don't like the citizens that you have in this country, so you decide to take your political power and undermine the U.S. citizens. This has to end. This is terrible. And it has to be highlighted because this is not nice. This is not nice to the people that's waiting to come here legally. This this is not going to look good for our future. This open racism that's being displayed on display every day. It's disgusting. And I decided, somebody got to say it. Somebody got to say it. Joe Biden is only giving illegal immigration privilege to white Hispanics. Only the white Hispanics are benefiting from illegal immigration and the fake phony asylum claims. No other nation, not in Europeans, can come here illegally and file fake asylum claims like the Hispanics can, the white Hispanics. There's more than one race of Hispanic people. There's Hispanics of every race. You have white Hispanics, black Hispanics, Asian Hispanics. There's Hispanics from all over the world. Caribbean Hispanics, okay? And the one group that's getting preferential treatment, 500,000. 500,000 work visas for illegal immigrants goes to, drum roll please, Venezuela. Venezuela, where, let me see here, the percentage of people, well, I don't have the percentage up, but when you get closer to Central and South America, the less of that percentage of people identify as Afro Latino. More than 75% of the Hispanics in South America, in Central America, identify as white. More than 75%. And even if they are Afro-Latino, they're going to write down they white. Okay? So that's what's really going on. This is some white privilege. He decided he's going to get Spanish-speaking white people to replace the population here. But Joe Biden is not fooling anybody, and he's definitely not fooling TJ. So anyway, now you all are up to date with what's going on and why. Another reason why illegal immigration is wrong. Because with illegal immigration, racism is able to thrive. Discrimination is able to thrive. Criminals are able to make profit. This is a horrible situation and it must end. And I can only pray for America's future because I don't think America will be America much longer if this is allowed to continue. I really don't. I think the American citizens got to start looking for another nation because this nation is going down to the cartels and to the criminals and to the racist people. Ukraine is a country with a bunch of Nazis. That's the last group of people we need in America. And they proved it with what happened in Canada, where they celebrated a Nazi, an actual living Nazi was celebrated in Canada, right along with the Ukrainian president, which means that the Ukrainians are Nazis just like it was reported. And this country is going backwards and not forward. So this illegal immigration that benefits only the white Hispanics and the Ukraine that benefits the Nazis is the worst predicament American people can be involved with in the history of America. We are in a modern age, 2023. We have AI, we have robots, and we are going back into time with that racist bastard, Joe Biden. I can't even call him president because we all know he stole the election. We've seen it. It doesn't take a month to figure out who won a presidential election. And we don't need Ruby Freeman to scan ballots 1,000 times in the middle of the night without supervision. We are living in a nightmare. So pray for us, pray for your family, pray for America, and let's work together to end this illegal immigration, end the racism, end the asylum fraud, and throw that nasty Joe Biden flea bag out of office. Okay, people, that's all I have for today. Peace.